Okay, we are recording. We are back for our second episode of Game of the Month Club something something. We don't really have a great name for it, but we're back anyways to talk about a game. We hinted at it last month and talked that we have Solar Ash. This was Ryan's pick for the month of July. We're going to go ahead and probably introduce everybody for a quick second about who's here, who played the game, and then start going through some questions about this. And was this a good pick for the month, or was this lame? So we got myself here. Hi, everybody. Kevin. And we also have Steve here tonight, back again. How you doing, Steve?
Hey, I'm back. Yep, I'm back.
Welcome back.
Good to be here.
Glad to have you back. We got Ryan again.
Howdy,
There
I'm
he is.
back. So I hope people liked it because I made you all play it.
You did. I mean, it can't be much worse than last month's pick by somebody else. So, we also have Fred, who just popped on the camera here. How you doing, Fred?
Doing good.
Looks like you just got a fresh haircut too.
You noticed.
I did. It looks great. There you go. And then we have new joiner Chris, who wasn't with us last month. Chris, how you doing?
Doing good. Hey, guys.
Welcome aboard.
Thanks.
So, like I mentioned, we're going to be talking about Solar Ash. This was Ryan's pick. This is a game taking place in the same world as the one note I didn't take down.
Hyperlight Drifter.
Yeah, I always want to call it like something completely different. Yeah, Hyperlight Drifter, which I never played that game. I don't know if anybody else had played that. No.
No,
I heard a lot of like hype about it. I mean, it was a really popular indie game, came out a few years ago.
Same.
But I never
same.
played it. Yeah.
And people were very excited for this sequel-ish to that game, all in the same world. So it was cool. We got an opportunity to all play it. So the first thing I always like to talk about before we even talk about the game is, how did everybody get this game? Where did you play it at? What console is this on? You just playing at home? And what's the deal with that? So I'll start off here. I bought it on Steam during the Steam sale, so I got it a couple dollars off, I think. It wasn't a huge sale. And then I played it mostly on my Steam Deck, and it ran pretty good on there. And then I also played it on my PC. I tried playing it on my ROG Ally, and it did not work. The controls would not turn on. Not in an easy way. I got it to work one time, and I couldn't replicate it again. So Steam Deck was where I played most of it. Steve, what about you?
Yeah, I got it on Steam as well for the few bucks off. I meant to play it on my Steam Deck, but I powered through it on my desktop without ever trying it on Steam Deck, unfortunately.
Really?
So.
It worked great on Steam Deck. I was pretty happy for that.
Yeah, I should have. I mean, if it was longer, I would have definitely played it on Steam Deck, but I kind of blew through it pretty quickly.
It
so.
was kind of a fast one. Ryan, what about you?
In famous Ryan fashion, I played it on both my PS5 and on my Steam Deck, and I bought it in both places.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I had it on. Well, I already had it on PS5, but I wanted to play it mobilely, so I bought it on Steam Deck.
You're supporting.
and-
That's good.
Yeah, supporting those developers. What can I say? I thought it played good, and I also played on the ROG Ally for a small amount of time. I didn't have the control issue you had.
Really? I couldn't get it to work at all. I tried it with external controller and the built-in controls. It wouldn't work at all.
That's the Ally for you.
Yeah, there's some issues with that thing. Jeff, what about you?
So I also bought it on Steam, but I think when I first played it, I played it on my computer with like all the graphics maxed out and everything.
Mhm.
And when I tried playing on Steam Deck, like I had to drop stuff to medium, and it just, I don't know, I couldn't take it like you, Kevin. I thought it ran kind of mediocre.
Medium for
in my
Steam Deck,
opinion.
like, I assume if I'm playing on Steam Deck, I'm going to put it on medium. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I thought
Yeah,
it
but I
ran
didn't
really
think
good
this
on
game
the
was-
Steam Deck.
I didn't think this game was that intense where it had to be dropped so far, but it did. But it wasn't unplayable or anything. So yeah, I played a little bit on Steam Deck, a little bit on computer, probably mostly computer though.
Okay. Chris, what about you?
I bought it on Steam, played on my laptop, but with my PS5 controller.
Okay. And then Fred?
I bought it on Steam. I used a Xbox controller on my computer. I have a Steam Deck. I should really play some of these games on Steam Deck. I basically haven't ever used my Steam Deck. I bought it and haven't used it. So
An art piece.
Yeah, art
Yeah.
piece. I think this was a great pick for the Steam Deck. I don't know why you had problems, Jeff, but I played probably 80% of it on my Steam Deck. and I just finished up the last part of it. There were a couple bosses that I think I needed to have a like Xbox controller to use, so I did on my PC. I'll kind of dig into that because I was playing it wrong, so the game was a little easier than I was making it.
Oh no.
So, what's that?
No, just interesting because
Oh,
Yeah, like how?
I'm just dumb. I don't even know
it's a
how I
pretty
tell you
simple
now.
game. There's like not that many.
Jeff's aware
Oh,
of
I
how
hear.
bad I am. So.
He'll get to it.
All right, so let's just open it up. Let's do a broad overall impressions of the game. Did this surprise you? Did this meet expectations right off the bat? What did you guys think? Who wants to jump in first here?
I'll let Ryan go first. He picked it.
All right.
Oh yeah.
Everyone's so pissed at him. Like, you go
yeah.
first.
Playthrough was this PS5 or Steam Deck?
Yeah, which playthrough?
This was the PS5 playthrough. So, yeah, I think I feel positively about it. There's definitely a lot of things I found either underwhelming or frustrating about the game. But I thought like there were certain moments in it where it had really fun platforming. Like the skating mechanic I thought was really fun, and like there's one of the levels you climb pretty high up, like using some of the jumping and the like grappling hook stuff and whatnot, and that I found really fun. But the overall just kind of short, and I really didn't find the story all that compelling, and I didn't care that much about it going on. So
Right.
I don't know. It, like I said, kind of a lukewarm feeling by the end of it for me.
Okay. Yeah, I'll go next. I thought the beginning of it kind of got me more excited. When you picked Solar Ash, I was like, okay, I don't really know much about it. Just installed the game, started playing it, and right away I was like, wow, this looks really cool. The skating thing you jump into right away is a lot of fun. You're skating around on the like cloud things. I do think as I played more, my love for the game kind of started to sink deeper and deeper. And I'll get into little reasons why. Jeff, what about you?
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same camp as you, Kevin. I think when I first saw the Steam page, I was like, oh, this looks great. Like it's gonna be perfect. Not too long of a game. Like seems like a cool mechanic and all that. And I started playing in the beginning. I was really interested in it. Story was kind of like whatever, just from the beginning. But the skating felt cool, the fighting, and then after I did like the first world, like I did the second world, and I'm like, oh, kind of the same thing. And I did the third world. I'm like, okay, I see where this is going. And I think as I've played more, it kind of drug itself down a little bit. So
Right. What about Chris or Fred? What do you guys have anything to chime in here about the first impressions of this game? Jumping into it.
You can go first, Fred.
Okay. I mean, I was really impressed with it from the start. I really liked this game. But yeah, I would say that it actually it got better to me. Like I thought that they slowly added stuff, like the levels where there's acid and you're using a lot of the like grinding rails. Like that's pretty different from the start of the game. It's basically you're not doing any of the same stuff you were at the start. So I don't know. I liked it.
Okay. And Chris?
So it felt a little repetitive to me, but maybe that's because I played the whole game in one shot.
What?
Oh, well, yeah.
And then I'd say the one thing I give it credit for is the environments changed up between all the levels. Like Fred was saying, the poison, and then we had the sort of the spore level, but overall the gameplay was basically the same, right? You go to each level, you crawl, I guess I still don't even know what we were doing really. Attacking the spears, and then you go stab the remnants.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. So let's dive into now reasons why we all kind of think this, and kind of unwrap and get to our scores at the end. And I think the first part
I actually switched my mic real quick because I noticed I was flickering. So I sound okay. I wanted to give my impressions. That was skipped.
Oh, let's go for it, Steve.
Right,
Yeah,
I sound okay though.
Steve, so it's okay.
Yeah, you sound all right.
Okay. Yeah, I knew nothing about the game coming in, which is kind of cool. So you come with a totally blank slate, totally non-biased opinion coming in. I thought that like right off the bat, I think the first thing that grabs you is definitely just the controls are like they feel good. You know, it's a fun game to just like skate around everywhere. It reminds me of like Jet Grind Radio, if you guys played that, with like you're just kind of freely like floating and your jumps are super high and you can grind all over the place. And then the world seemed really like intriguing, sort of mysterious. You know, it kind of looked like the world, but you could tell that it was like apocalyptic, sort of. And the story very obtuse. So I thought I was like pretty into it right off the bat, I would say.
Okay. Well, kind of segueing right into the first thing I wanted to talk about was what do we think of the controls, the mechanics? Was it intuitive? Was this engaging? I'm gonna go first here because this was probably my biggest complaint at first. I really enjoyed the skating around on the ground and the movement, but I did not like how floaty your character felt for the platforming. And this just might be Kevin's not good at platforming and hard things, but I would miss platforms or fall off things. And a lot of times you'd fall off, you'd fall into the cloud at the bottom, so you wouldn't die. So then you'd have to continuously figure out how to get all the way back up the tower or the tall object or whatever you're climbing. And it was just because I floated too far and I didn't pull back on the thumbstick to try to stop myself from jumping too quick. So I don't know if it's the controls or just me, but I found it very annoying for that.
I mean, that's just how roller skating is, right? Like in real life. I don't know.
If you could fly on roller skates, didn't you know?
Yeah, I mean, it might be me. I didn't like it.
To me, that's a little bit of the appeal of the controls. I mean, I know it is floaty, but in one sense, you can like make huge jumps, right? And you can like really do cool stuff and cover a lot of ground and turn around in midair. You know, you can do like cool stuff because you have so much air, air to.
Yeah,
I think I wish the character had more control of herself in the air, because when you jump, it was like you kind of were wherever you were going was where you were going. You could slow down a little bit, but I wish it was a little more precise, just because it was a platforming like type game. But yeah,
and the controls weren't super clear to me. Like I couldn't figure out like what my boost like cooldown reset was, and I would just tap it, and sometimes it would work, and sometimes it was like on cooldown.
Just use the armor that lets you have unlamented boosts, and then you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
I didn't get that.
You got
not get the armor.
got all the armor.
Yeah, I didn't get any of the. I got like just the original extra armor, I think, but I didn't go for any of the extras like that.
Yeah, I got like 2 of them, I think.
Well, the only one that mattered was the boost ones. But
apparently.
Yeah,
Maybe
I
that's what I
wouldn't have
needed.
got all of them. But yeah, the only one that actually mattered was the boost one.
Oh wow. You 100% it then?
One thing I thought,
Yeah, 100% of it.
Wow.
It was only 10 hours to 100% it. I don't know. I the thing I like about games is like collectibles. So I was definitely gonna, in a game where there's only like one type of collectibles and then like a couple of little side quests, I definitely am gonna end up doing that.
Nice.
Well, I also like collectible games, but tell me, Fred, like when you need one more of the pieces of the armor and you have no idea where to look, are you just like mindlessly just hunting an entire massive map looking for like a needle in a haystack?
Well, I mean,
it
did take me twice the amount of time it did probably you guys to complete it. Yeah, I'd say that's basically what it is, but it's pretty intuitive. The only ones that I didn't find naturally was, I think, on 2 or 3 of the levels. The first one is in like the starting part of the level. So it's like before you really start doing the jumping up and stuff, like it's that little like introductory space. And you like, oh, I swear it was at least twice. You basically just like look backwards at the entrance and there's one. And that was what happened to me a couple times. But
okay.
But yeah, I don't know. I think if you're looking for it, there's markers. So there are these big like circles with a triangle.
Yeah, I saw those.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that marks the start of the path for how you find each piece. So it felt pretty intuitive to me. I also, again, like, that's the thing I like to do most in games like this. So I'm pretty keyed into it.
Okay. This is the part I kind of hinted at earlier that I was not doing right. I was struggling on the long paths where you had like your syringes or whatever they were, and even on the bosses as you're trying to go through this long path, you had to hit them all before you hit the eyeball to knock it out. I didn't know if you used the slow motion thing, it gave you extra distance to kind of grapple to whatever you needed to. So I kept trying to do it without using slow motion, so I would have to like perfectly be close enough to grapple to it, and I would have to try it over and over and over. And Jeff actually was like, why do you keep doing that? Just use your slow motion. and grapple to it. And I was like, I don't know how I missed that.
Motion.
And I just totally forgot that was even a feature. So
I barely used
I was
slow
dumb.
motion. Personally, I actually barely used it. I feel like I didn't need it.
Yeah, I didn't
it's
either.
so
I
helpful.
feel like I didn't need it.
Oh,
Just
I
slow the game down.
turned
I
the
was also playing
difficulty
lowest
down.
setting.
Oh, I had to turn it down.
so what did anyone play on normal?
I did.
Okay, Steve.
I played on easy.
Me too, baby mode.
Chris,
Yeah,
you were
yeah.
you on easy?
Yeah, mostly just because I waited to beat it till yesterday.
That's
Dude,
fair
but,
enough.
I give everybody played on easy.
Chris
I
did a,
play- yeah,
a speed run.
I
I
didn't
play all
like-
games
I
on
wanna
easy,
turn-
so.
All right, I don't know you guys anymore. I'm out of here.
I have this debate with some other friends of mine about games that have difficulty setting, right? Where like I almost wish it didn't have that as an option. Steve's just gone.
I
Like
agree.
if it didn't have an option, I would have felt more satisfaction beating the game. But it has an easy mode. It's like, oh, I can just choose that then if it gets too hard.
Yeah, but if I didn't have an
I would
option,
have rather just not have
I don't know if I would have finished the game because I
Yeah,
got
I wouldn't
stuck.
have. I don't think so. Too precise.
It would have
of
felt
timing
like
on the
more
bosses.
meaningful though.
But so that's what I was
I don't
saying.
feel that way.
So Fred, you said you didn't use the slow motion thing much.
No.
It changed
Not
the
at all.
game because it added distance. So you could literally use the grapple like an extra 15 feet out from where you were. So you'd be able to get it way easier. So I probably could have played it on normal if I knew that. And I didn't find out until I was bitching to Jeff about it. So, and I don't know if where did they tell you
I
that,
think you
Jeff?
get-
It was in the beginning.
Oh, I just,
One of the-
Yeah, it's part
I
of
think
the
they told you in the
tutorial.
tutorial.
I
But
started
how's
it
the
and
game
took
easier
a
on
break.
like how's the game easier on easy?
The-
I wonder,
There's
because
more
like
time to hit the stuff.
The timing
Exactly.
windows.
right, okay.
Yeah, you just straight up. It doesn't do anything on easy as far as I can tell, really, because like everything is so. Just the timing is fine, not slowing it down. So I had times where I accidentally slowed down, and that was what killed me. So I don't know.
Well, it was also
Interesting.
useful not just for the needles, but you could also hit enemies with it, so it would like stun.
Oh
them.
yeah, no, I did. Okay, I did use it for that. You press the
Okay.
you press the slow down, and then you can press the like trigger button and like jump towards them. I
Yeah.
used it for that. Yeah.
See,
That was super helpful.
I avoided most of the enemies. Did you guys actually sit and fight them all?
I mean, they
Sometimes
die to
they-
one hit.
sometimes they were in the way.
Almost all of them.
I just
Yeah,
kind
A lot of
of
them didn't die in one hit. A lot of them went die in one hit. At least not on maybe on easy they all die in one hit.
Yeah,
but
maybe
not
on
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 easy,
normal.
they all die on one or two
Yeah.
hits.
yeah, one or two, I'd say.
I mostly avoided them, but sometimes like you just have to kill them because they're in your way or they're
Right.
killing you over and over again. I
So-
mean, the game's
Spiders
relatively like forgiving. Like the checkpoints were all over the place, and if you like even on the boss, if you died, you just went back to the like it kept the number of times you hit the eye. It just went back to the beginning of that particular round.
I didn't like how if you were, and again, this is a little bit nitpicky, but at a boss, if you took down like 2 of the 3 health you had to go at or whatever it was, I think it was 3 times you had to go hit the eyeball. Because I wasn't using the mechanic to slow it down and grapple to it, and I was on normal mode for a while, if you stop the game, you have to start all over. There wasn't like a checkpoint; it saved it there. And then with my Steam Deck, it would like shut off, and my game wouldn't launch the right way. I'd have to redo the whole thing. And some of the bosses on normal, without using the right mechanic, it was hard. So a little nitpicky, but man.
I mean, I would say the last part of the boss, like that last track that you have to take, that was challenging. I'd say that was pretty challenging, and it sometimes took me, maybe 8 to 10 tries.
Right.
But like it reset enough that, and it was just the very last part. I didn't find an issue with it. It was, it's okay if I'm not like replaying it over and over again.
Right. So kind of dealing with the controls and shifting a little bit. So the actual gameplay of the game, what did you guys think? Did you find it appealing that you wanted to keep coming back and playing this within your one playthrough? I mean, Ryan, you did like 2, and Fred, you went back and got everything. So maybe you guys have different opinions, but what do you guys think about the actual gameplay? Was this fun?
Not everybody all at once. Huh?
Yeah.
I had a lot of
Yeah,
fun.
I had fun. I thought the core gameplay loop was fairly engaging, and like every time you're like skating and jumping and whatnot, I thought it was cool. I thought they had like checkpoints, but they also had like like organic checkpoints where you have to get higher and higher up, and they're not going to checkpoint like how high up you got, but they're going to have like a little shortcut you unlock halfway up to make it easier to get there if you fall.
Right.
Right. Thought that was fun. The one thing that I found most frustrating with the gameplay / controls was the marker. Like you hold down to do that like map thing and it'd show you where you need to go. And I have no sense of direction, so I needed to do that a lot. And it would just stay up. It was like after a minute, it disappeared.
Yeah.
And that was just the dumbest mechanic.
Yeah.
And the levels were all like gravity was like all messed up. You know, it was all twisting all around in all the levels, which was kind of interesting because like you could think that something is in a particular direction, but actually you have to like go up and around and
Yeah.
So the marker, it wasn't always intuitive following the marker.
I found after you beat a boss, it would tell you where to go for the next zone, but it wouldn't give you a good direction, so you had no idea what zone you actually needed to go to get to the next one.
Yep.
And I ended up having to teleport to each zone to see which one had the lowest like distance.
Yep.
So that I'd be like, okay, this is the right one. Like that's just seems like a weird way to go about it. But
I agree.
I think for me the gameplay was I thought it was pretty good. I liked that I could kind of play in bite-sized sessions where like at nighttime I'd sit down and be like, okay, I'm just going to do one map. I'd come in, do the map, learn the mechanic, fight the boss, and then I could put it away and feel like I kind of accomplished something. So I did like that about it, but I do wish there was a little bit more variance outside of just the level design. But
yeah. It was
all right.
It was very basic. I kind of liked it and didn't like it, the linear aspect of it, where it was, like you said, Jeff, bite-sized. So it was nice that I could do a little bit and be done. I guess that is the type of game it is, but I did feel like I wanted more sometimes. But then at the same time, I was like, this is kind of what the game is intended to be, and I did enjoy it for that.
I wish there was like instead of just getting the health bubble you would unlock with your gems or whatever, I wish you could unlock like more attack power or faster speed or a higher jump, like something a little more.
And the money didn't matter, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Comparing this to Lana that we did last month, where you kind of were
masterpiece.
Oh god, you were spoon fed little things like every like chapter or so. Where I feel like this game, every world could have introduced a little bit more than what it did. Like you got different stuff within the levels, like the actual stuff you were doing, but I would have liked to have seen maybe some different abilities or something that kind of shook it up a little bit more.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with Kevin on this one. That like the gameplay was solid. You start playing and you're like, okay, this feels fun. I'm flying around, I'm skating around, and then it doesn't have a lot of depth to it. There are some new things that come in over the course of the game, but fundamentally you're skating and it's a platformer, right, where you're sort of skating and jumping around. It's not like there's not deep RPG mechanics into this. You're not unlocked. It's not a Metroidvania-like mechanics. They do introduce new stuff, which does make it a little more complicated, but it didn't meaningfully like change how you're playing. So that's kind of a criticism of mine. And the new mechanics they introduced, I'm wondering if you guys had this too. Like I didn't really understand them. Like I got the place I got stuck in this game was with the new mechanics because like I just didn't realize that. Like I got stuck where there's the color like little triangle thing in the bag, and you need to have like that little floating like flies of the color to get to the unlock the gate.
Yeah,
and like
the gem.
I got stuck. I was like, I have no idea what to do. And it was actually on one of the bosses. I just couldn't figure out how to beat his first like round at all. And I thought you had to do it without that like mechanic. So
they didn't do a good job explaining the new things they threw at you, and I was
right. So you had to kind of like fail and then be like, "What's going on?" And then I watched like a Let's Play, and I was just like, "Oh, okay, I guess I can get these bags, hit the flies, and go to this triangle of the same color." But like I just didn't piece that together, I guess.
Right.
So it just led to like me wasting a lot of time playing it, which was
I kept hitting the bag, and I'm like, "Okay, that should be like a switch that opens up a door or something, and maybe it's timed." But it wasn't like that. Like I had to take the flies over, which. And
it happened again later on, I think in the last world, where there was like that like tower, like the little turret, not a turret, like a vertical spire thing, and you have to hit it and it launches you in the air. And like I'd be trying to figure out like how do I get up to the top of this tower, trying to climb up, trying to find like a way I could jump up somehow, and it's like no, you just have to hit this little like
they're all mushrooms.
Mushroom thing, and it's just gonna launch you to the top. So it'd be nice if they made it a little bit more obvious, or maybe explained it like as
you don't just automatically hit the glowing things.
Yeah,
that's how I think.
Yeah, I just was whacking everything, and then it did that. Yeah,
that was.
I think of like how Zelda, when Zelda gives you a new item, in any dungeon. What they do is they lock you in that room that they gave it to you in.
You have to use it.
And you can't leave the room until you use it, right? Like the way to get out of the room you get the hook shot is you got to turn around, find the panel that has the target on it, use the hook shot to get out. Or, like, so it's sort of, when you get the item, it just introduce it like without telling you, like directly, it tells you, okay, this is how you use the item.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe I'm just like not, just it went right over my head somehow. I feel like it wasn't that intuitive.
The first instance of the mushrooms, it is pretty much like that. They put one of the little mushrooms in front of you, and then they within your sight is another red one, and you just walk up to it. I mean, I guess it's not necessarily clear the spores are what's causing that, but I don't know.
I hit the mushroom, and then I was like, oh, I guess that door opened. So I ran over to the door, and then the door opened because I touched the triangle thing. I didn't even realize that. The mushroom.
Yeah.
I had to go to a Let's Play, Steve. That probably gave that guy like 100 views or something.
He scrubbed through like a 3 hour, scrubbed through 3 hours on the YouTube video to find like 1 5-second part I needed.
So I think
I did not have that problem.
I think
I
think overall, I think we all seem to enjoy the gameplay.
Yeah.
I think we can agree on that.
Yeah.
Did not.
Chris, you did not.
No, I think nowadays games are get a lot of attention for when a lot of new stuff like I don't know. I'll use Demon Souls for example, right? Like how all the bosses have different angles and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Everything was the same, right? Like we were saying earlier, the enemies were super easy. Most of them you could just sprint by. There was no aspect. All the enemies were basically the same, right? Sprint up to them, punch them 2 to 3 times, and that was it. Maybe you jump if it was electricity guy.
Right.
All bosses were the same. I liked how they looked different. The thing I liked the most about the game was the environments, and I've never played Shadow of the Colossus, but I've watched some videos of it.
Mm-hmm.
I sort of got like the feeling. It was sort of cool how like the scale, the last couple guys were pretty big, and that was sort of cool. But
Chris, you need to stop like recording this and go play Shadow of the Colossus.
For real, 100%.
Also, I would not compare this game. I don't like comparing this game to Shadow.
I think it.
I think it just means the size.
Yes, I think that it was. It's like a
so
very.
Many games have done that since Shadow of the Colossus.
But it's like a dumbed down version of it, Steve. I do agree with him because I've played a little bit. It does feel like Shadow of Colossus, but like the Fisher Price version of it. Like this is not as big as in scope or as detailed or as epic, but it is kind of the same concept where you're trying to take down something much bigger than you are, and that's kind of the main point of the game. Because that was the highlights of the gameplay were the bosses. You would do it, and every level had that boss that you were trying to go through. So I do think Chris. Go on,
it is actually a fair comparison because you unleash this giant, giant in the level. But I'll say this: I felt like I sort of just like ignored that because like I just like skated to him. I hit the button to like go to the, to like just like hook shot to the target on him,
mm-hmm.
and then you just start the little mini game of try to hit the syringes and the stuff before the time runs out. So like I didn't really like even pay attention to what the boss was because like it didn't matter. I'm just trying to find the syringe, hit the syringe, and go and avoid the like patches of lava, right? Like the mechanics sort of took away from some aspects of the design of the monster because like I'm not paying. On Shadow of the Colossus, you have to pay attention to you look at the Colossus, and you're like, okay, his arm is like there's something on his arm. Maybe I can grab that, or maybe the weak spot is in his back. How do I get up there? Okay, I can climb up his calf and then try to jump over. Right? This game was like just.
I mean, this game was straightforward. That was kind of the difference.
Yeah. There's a key difference though between Shadow of the Colossus and this, and that's in Shadow of the Colossus. There's no other enemies at all. It's like a desolate wasteland. It's just you and these giants.
I almost would have rather preferred that though. Like the enemies were useless.
So I was gonna say, I was gonna say the enemies felt like such an afterthought in this game. Like they didn't even need to be there. Like almost you said, you just avoided them. Like if you killed them, it wasn't really worth anything. It was just kind of like it felt like they sprinkled them in there because like, oh, there's not enough, going on in the world to make it as interesting as it could be.
Fred,
One of the games I like a lot is Horizon Zero Dawn. And I like how each of the different monsters in that game, you had to approach a different way. And that's what I didn't like about this game, is everything was just the same. There's no variance between all the bosses. There's no variance between all the useless monsters.
the one thing I'll say oppositely is I think we're comparing this all to giant big budget games where this is a small indie studio without a budget. So I guess we have to kind of bucket it with other games in an indie world. I think
Did any of you guys ever play Gravity Rush?
Yes, I did.
No,
it is kind of similar
I
to
got
that.
similar vibes to that game.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I'll use this as an example then, Kevin, because we just talked about it a couple days ago. Rogue Legacy 2. I mean, that's an indie game. That's a small game, but all the people, everything you fight has a different way to approach it.
I mean, in that case, it's just a better indie game than this one.
True. I mean, I kind of base it not so much on whether it's, I don't know who publishes the game. I don't know how many people worked on it, because this could be someone's labor of love that they've been working on their basement for years and they independently publish. I have no idea. Or,
Ryan actually made the game. That's why he played it.
Had 1,000 people. I don't know. I just evaluate the product, as it is, right?
Yeah,
at
of
the price
course.
that they want for it, right?
Yeah.
And that's my philosophy. And I think it was $20. It felt
on sale.
About
It was
right.
$20.
That felt for me, $20 on sale felt like about right for this game. And it kind of comes back to the simplicity of it. It felt good. It was kind of fun to play and explore, but it wasn't opening up new, kind of the next, I think most stellar games in 2023 have to have sort of I know I'm a broken record because we talked about this last month too, but they need to kind of expand, right? They unlock new abilities, and then that changes how you play the game, sort of, right? And this game was sort of just the final boss was the same as the first boss. I mean, I know they look different, but you're skating on a rail or trying to island hop on these white chunks of some armor thing, hitting the syringes to break the eye.
They basically just had a small equation they used at every level, and they did it over and over, and it was okay. If it was any longer, I think I would be more negative on it overall, but it was okay.
I think to compare, I'm not trying to compare it to every AAA game out there, but compare this to Spider-Man, the new one that was remastered, and in that game, the movement, as you level up, you can swing faster and jump higher and do new moves to move quicker in the game. And I think it would have been cool to have that in this game because the movement was the fun part of the game. So being able to start off with, maybe you don't skate that fast, but as you go on, you can pay to level up how fast you skate, how high you jump. I think that would have added a lot more fun to doing some of the side quests and killing enemies and things like that.
Them removing a health chunk after each boss just felt kind of like a cop out.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
I know it really was, because they had to come up with some reason for you to have the whatever the currency
red
game. And if they kept leveling up your life forever and ever and ever, it just would the enemies would be totally trivialized, right? Yeah. So the only I think that was their mechanic was well, just to keep the difficulty there, we're just going to keep knocking down their once they get the max health back, that we're going to knock it back down, and that mechanic of taking away your max health. I mean, if there's any good one good way to piss to kind of upset me as a gamer, it's when you take away my max health.
You know what's even better though?
You're paying to just keep the status quo instead of to level up. You're paying to just stay at what you had.
You can outsmart the game and just go on easy, and then it didn't even matter how much health you had.
But there's another.
I showed them.
No, it's not true, Kevin. If you look at when I started the game at last night, when I said, well, I want to get some sleep, so let me just play it on the easiest mode. It tells you what it changes between the difficulty levels, and the only thing it changes is the time to break the syringes.
Well, it made it easier for me because I never upgraded my health again. I just ran through everything. I just ran past the enemies and avoided them. Maybe I'm just really good.
Okay. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, super good.
So there's another big, probably one of the biggest games of this year. Probably the biggest game this year. Had, I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but has this mechanic too, where it introduces a part in the game where it takes away your max health. And as much as I do think it is kind of a cheap way to kind of just make their currency more valuable and keep you like interested in collecting them. It is kind of effective. Like it does actually like I actually hated the bosses when they took that, like that lady that crushes you. I was like, fuck you, you took over Maxell. So it was effective at getting me to like angry at that lady.
That lady was just creepy. I did not like that giant woman thing. I don't even know what it was. Anyways, moving past.
Did you not finish the game?
Yeah, I did, but what about it?
You didn't pay attention to the story.
You go into the story. We want to talk about story.
Well, that's
The end of the game
now.
reveals who that giant woman is.
Yeah, I still don't even get it though.
I
want to hear
ending,
Steve's breakdown because last game he was like the portraits were the humans that were developed into this, and I'm like, whoa, man!
All right, well,
what Steve thought about this story.
So this is the next bullet point for us to talk about. So the story, the narrative, did this captivate us? Was there big standout moments? Let me start because it sounds like I'm the furthest from understanding it or enjoying it. I mostly skipped right through everything just to finish it. The parts I watched, I didn't understand. I tried to understand the characters by the conversation you have with the one thing. I have no idea what was going on. There's a choice in the game. I have no idea what I picked, nor do I understand what happened after I picked something. I don't know if I killed them or helped them. So to me, the story fell really flat. But I also don't pay attention to a lot of narratives in games that are like this because they're the smaller bite-sized things. I just kind of want to get through it, but that's just a me thing.
So let me get this straight. You didn't pay attention to the story, therefore it fell flat.
But but here's the thing. Yes, you're right, and I know what you're getting at, but I didn't find a reason to want to pay attention to it. Because there are games that are like this that I do pay attention to the story, but there was no reason for me because I just felt like it was just thrown in there and it wasn't very meaningful. Just my opinion.
Yeah, it felt like there was no emotion. I felt the story didn't really have any emotion in it, even though the stakes were really high. It was like you're saving a solar system or whatever it is. Like it's a big deal what you're doing, but the scale of the story didn't feel like it matched the like scale of the gameplay. Like what you're doing is supposed to be like saving this whole solar system, right, from a black hole or whatever. But it ends up feeling like the scale of gameplay is like it doesn't really connect. What I'm doing in the game does not connect to why I'm doing it.
I agree with that. Much. Even in Lana, I had an idea what was going on a little bit, where I was complaining about that one too. I at least knew I was trying to go save my sister or friend or something. This I had no idea. I was just putting syringes in big things.
Yeah, the syringes, I still don't understand what they have to do with anything. I understand the remnants, but the syringes, yeah, it's questionable to me.
You didn't read the lore? She was a nurse, actually.
That was in the addendum.
The game is intentionally, and I didn't play Hyper Light Drifter, so maybe we're missing something there. But to me, the game was like intentionally obtuse. Like if you try to read through the notebooks, like they're referencing things, and you're like, what? And like they're kind of, But the environment was appealing, right? And the environment does tell a story in its own, right? You see the world, like you can tell there's like Earth-like or planet-like segments of this world, and it looks like it's like been broken up and all distorted. So to me, this is like some kind. It takes place in an apocalyptic place, and you're the only person that's basically still alive. That's like a normal person, except for maybe I think that's like an android, right? That you keep meeting
like
at the checkpoints.
Yeah.
And
well, there's
looks like
quest givers too. I mean, they're alive.
Yeah, there were a couple of those.
And there's a huge black hole that you sometimes see, right? And my impression is you're trying to stop the world from going into the black hole. Like you're supposed to destroy the black hole or get rid of the planet from going in there. But beyond that, I wasn't sure. And yeah, at the end of the game, they're like, spoilers for Deathloop. I don't know if you guys played Deathloop, but it's very much the same fundamental story, which is like break the loop sort of like twist. I guess it's kind of like a Matrix twist or a Deathloop twist at the end.
Looper.
That's a good movie.
It was a good movie.
It is like that.
All right, Chris and Fred, I don't think we heard about narrative story from you guys.
I just assumed the parts I didn't understand were because I hadn't played the other game. Hyper Light Drifter, is that what it's called?
Yep.
Or whatever. Yeah.
Are they connected though?
I don't know.
I always hear they
They're
are.
in the same universe. same universe.
Oh, okay.
Same way, like,
Did not know that.
you know, Iron Man and Captain America are connected. They're not really the same story,
It's
but
not
they're in the same
character or
world.
whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
my
I guess it's-
understanding. I haven't played the other one.
Apparently, you haven't watched much Marvel either.
I get-
Chris.
Did-
Oh, sorry, Fred. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Did none of you guys do the little side quests?
No.
I don't think I did.
Okay, because like I agree that like it's kind of unclear what the main story is, but like the other three stories are really interesting. I'm the only one. Okay, one of them.
Honestly, I don't even think I knew there were side quests.
Yeah. So one of them, there's a guy who's like a mushroom guy, and part of his thing is that like his race dies, and then they kind of become like one with the mycelial network, and he doesn't want to die. He wants to keep being like living, even though like their concept of death is kind of limited because you become one with the mycelial networks. You're still kind of alive. So that there's a whole storyline around that. There's a whole storyline about finding someone.
I actually did do that one. I didn't even know that was a side quest. I thought that was just something that you have to do to progress. Now that I mean, so I played it a while ago, but I
Talking
did
about
do the
like
mushroom one.
collecting stuff and upgrading your person, like in games, like it's purely narrative, right? There's no like benefits for doing it, and I
But
don't
there's no
think
benefits for doing anything in the game. Really.
I sort of
It's just the
need something
experience.
Yeah.
to do it for something. I want a new cool weapon or like a new ability or something. Like I also talked to them. So one of the side missions, like the spore ones, must be the mushroom guys we're talking about, the mycelians. Every time I went to them, they said they want to talk to me because I wasn't their people and they didn't like my soul.
Wow.
Yeah, you have to say the little phrase to them.
Yeah.
Apparently, he didn't do that. Yeah.
All
Okay.
right.
Get
I
a better
I-
soul, man.
Get a better soul. All right, moving past the narrative and all that. I think the biggest highlight of the game for me, and I'm curious to see what you guys all think, was the actual artwork, the world, the audio was really good. All that, like the aesthetic of the game was pretty awesome. I thought each world was a little different. I thought exploring them was kind of fun. One of the worlds was like a broken down city that was a cityscape that you climbed up and down. I did find myself exploring it, even though I kind of knew there wasn't much to see. I got a couple of like the armor pieces. I did find it annoying when I fell, like I complained about earlier, but I thought it was fun when you got to the top and kind of got to look out at everything. Seeing the different worlds. The one world where it might be the same one where it was like you were on a globe almost, where you had to keep going and the world would turn with you, and then there was above you and next to you. I thought that was kind of a cool thing, just the art style of how that was laid out. And the music I thought was fun. A lot of times if I play a game like this that I just want to beat, I usually listen to a podcast or have TV on. I actually played this with headphones on and really enjoyed just hearing the noises, the sound effects, and the soundscape that they created.
Yeah, I think that was definitely the game's strong suit, was the art, the music, the environment, the feel of the game. I think they did a really good job on that for sure.
It reminded me a bit of like a maybe PS2 platformer. And then, I mean, obviously this looked better than a PS2 game, but like there weren't really textures.
Yeah.
You know, like it was designed with more like almost like cell shaded like features. Like they didn't have detailed textures on things. So, and I reminded me like maybe like to like the like original like Jack and Daxter sort of look or something.
Yeah.
Oh, I love Jack and Daxter
Too. Anybody else on that? I thought this is the strongest part. I thought everybody would be jumping on it.
You know, I feel like the strongest part was actually the movement, traversing, like gameplay. You know, I like that the most. I mean, the graphics were nice, the sound was nice. I wasn't like blown away by it.
I thought
it
it
did
was
look
great.
a little bit like weird to me, like just the colors of the clouds being blue and like the land being pink. I was like,
I would have almost preferred it be closer to like Earth colors, so it felt more.
Yeah, but maybe they were trying to like
the
tell you that it
stadium
wasn't Earth. Like they're trying to signal this is another planet. I'm not sure, but I felt like some of the sets were a little bit weird.
I thought it was great.
I thought the clouds were weird.
I thought the clouds were cool. It is interesting to see how we all look at this differently, because I thought that part was really cool. I enjoyed.
I would have rather had like a desert to skate through instead of the clouds that had more like of a desolate feel to it. I guess the clouds one, I wish I would have died when I fell.
Yeah, that's exactly. I agree.
Like, it didn't make the height feel tall, which I like when I'm platforming.
Yeah.
And then like this is maybe really nitpicky, but because I played on Steam Deck a bit, I felt like the clouds maybe took up more processing power than they needed to for what I was getting out of it from the game. I don't know how they coded that, but like I'm assuming it's a very complex object that it had to render and calculate for. And that was like strange because it like jumped with you and like moved with you and stuff. Again, like a performance
like
nitpick, but
the
yeah, the actual
cloud.
ground, like the blue stuff that, just because of its, I felt like that was one of those, this game to me felt like they developed the mechanics for it because they were really excited about the skating and the clouds and all this stuff they did. And then they probably had somebody who was really excited about the artwork and the music. And then I think they just didn't want to finish with like building out complex level design and building out like a more make sense story. It felt like they did those two things first and then threw the story and the levels kind of on at the end to get it done.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
I
the
really
level
like
design, it wasn't as complicated as I like. I think it felt really confusing to me because of the way that like lots of it at least weren't just like flat spaces. They were like areas that would like go up in the sky, bend over. So at the end, it was like really just confused. Like it was pretty confused. I think you mentioned being like, getting lost or being directionally challenged, which I am as well. It was like a little bit of like a fake way to like create level complexity is just like twist it around and make it like me getting lost all the time. Because I think if you just took some of those levels and just like flatten them out, like they'd be just these hub areas that you're going to on a flat plane. But that looks too boring. So let's put one up in the air, turn it upside down, and you have to take a cloud path up there.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
but it's not fundamentally complex, I guess is my point. It had the illusion of being complex.
Okay. In terms of now, we've got the whole game. We've discussed the main parts of it. Let's look at it.
I have one more nitpick. Can I wait one more one?
All
I
right.
think you might all want to. I can do that. The map is garbage, and I hated it. And I wanted a normal map for this game.
I needed a mini map or something.
Yeah, the map
It's just like when you go to the map, it does not tell you where you actually are at all. It's like, okay, that's the. It would have been sweet to have an aerial map to see the whole thing. I think that would have been really.
I think
cool.
the mini map thing, Jeff. I think they wanted to be like an artistic game and like have the view of everything because you know how it's a big thing when there's like your HUD is gone and they're like, oh wow, it's beautiful. And I get it because it was a very beautiful game. I think that was one of their big things. Is I feel like they spent a lot of time with the art direction. I feel like that might have. I could see a meeting them going, well, mini map. Like, no, we don't want it to take away from the art direction of where we're going.
If no mini map, then I think what
Brian said. I agree because it was confusing.
Map.
I'm terrible with directions in the game. I literally would go to the same spot over and over and over. And same thing you said. If you fall, Ryan, you don't die. And you have a checkpoint up there. So I would literally go down and find like the mines in the ground or run into an enemy so I could die, go back to my checkpoint up there. So, anyways, back to the next bullet point for replayability, longevity. Does this game anything more? Is anyone to go back to this? Sounds like Fred already did go back to it and complete it completely. Ryan played it on a second console.
All the way through. Like I didn't need to go back and do anything. I just did it all at the same time.
Oh, okay. I guess
if you
that's
just
fair.
are like looking for it, yeah.
I don't think I'd ever go back. I mean, I finished it, saw the end, was like, okay, got the game done for a month. That was
with this one.
That was kind of how I felt.
Back on the shelf.
Anybody else?
I enjoyed this game. I enjoyed it, but not going back. No way. It just wasn't deep enough. Like I get the idea.
Yeah, I don't tend to replay games.
Yeah, me neither. Not many do I replay.
Like KOTOR, I played 4 times or whatever, but because there were so many different.
Such a good game. Such a good game. That's a game we have to convince Jeff to play because he just won't do it. And I played that game 3 times too.
I'm just gonna wait for the canceled remake.
I was about to say they canceled the remake, so you have to play the
Hey, it's not officially canceled. It's just shuffling around. So we'll wait for that. Do you guys think this is worth the price you paid? I think it was roughly $20. I think it was okay for $20.
Yeah.
I got $20 worth out of
20,
it.
yes.
Yeah, it was
40,
fine.
no.
It's supposed to be 40.
I think it was. I want to say it was originally 40 when I bought it on PlayStation
Wow.
when
No
it
way,
came
dude.
out
That's
2 years ago.
not.
Yeah, maybe not
me-
that.
Yeah, if I paid 40,
It wasn't
I'd
that
been
much?
a little sour.
I think 20
Oh,
is the
yeah.
most I'd pay for this, but I'd probably be happier like 15 or 10.
Yeah, it's totally $40 right now on Steam.
What?
It must have been half
Yeah,
off
I
when we
took it.
bought it.
Wow.
That's why when I chose this game before I realized it was 40, when I saw it on sale, I was like, oh shit, everybody better get it right now or I'm going to feel really bad. Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
I
think
would have a different
I think
video
I
if
beat
I
this
paid
game in
that
like
much.
7 hours. I think I played like 7 hours into it. What about price that about what you guys put in? And that's like for $40 for a 7 hour game
Damn,
with really not much
$40.
replayability.
I beat it in
I mean-
5 hours and 38 minutes.
Speed
And I
run.
took 50 minutes in the tutorial.
Jeez.
But I'll say this for me, if the game felt even shorter, like to me, this game felt shorter than Planet of Lana, even though Planet of Lana, I guess, was like 3 hours
4 hours.
shorter.
Felt pretty long to me, but probably just because I beat it in one go.
I thought this game flew right by. So I mean, I enjoyed it enough that I kept like coming back, go to the new level, go through all the things, and unlock the beast, kill the beast, and then go on the next thing. It was
The final
satisfying.
boss hurt me. I sort of just wanted the game to be done because I just got done stabbing it 3 times, and I just had to stab it 3 times again. Yeah, I just didn't enjoy how all the bosses were the same. That's my biggest.
Okay. Well,
I kind of had the opposite, Steve, where I was like, I feel like I'm almost done. Then I'm like, man, I still have 3 more worlds. Like, how is that even possible? I think because I kept
Did you
doing the
guys try
same thing
both
over and
endings?
over. It was just like, oh man, another one.
what did you say, Ryan? Try what?
I was wondering if anybody else tried both endings because there's 2 possible endings. Kind of.
I did not.
Yeah. No,
Red.
because the bad ending is just it's just you like nothing happens.
Game over. Yeah. I
Yeah.
actually Googled it
Yeah, it
right
kind of
before,
loops you
and
back again.
I was gonna pick the bad ending, and then I Googled it, and then it was like, no, the game just ends. If you want to see the last boss, do the real ending.
Oh, see,
Yeah.
I was trying to pick the one where I didn't have to do anything, so it ended. I just guessed. I picked the wrong one because I fought her.
The last boss was pretty fun. Like
I did like the last
I
boss.
enjoyed the last boss. Yeah, it wasn't frustrating or anything because you were right there when you died.
Yeah, that helped.
Yeah.
I
You
mean,
know,
to
like
me-
far or anything.
It was pretty much the same as all the other bosses. I played through it, and there's 3 rounds. You got to break the legs and all that. It didn't
I was
feel
just happy I didn't have to go into
Well,
the
like,
sky
it wasn't
and
much
fight something.
different.
Yeah. All right,
I
so
think I would consider playing this game again someday. I think like after
Yeah.
enough time, I think the mechanic alone was fun. Maybe I'd pick it up and play like through the first boss and then be like, all right, cool, I got my fill.
Do we know if there's a new game plus for this? Because like when you beat the game at 100%, you get a suit that has all the powers. So like if I could go back and just like I guess I can just I don't have to new game plus. I could just go back and play the levels probably, right?
turn up
With
the difficulty.
yeah, right. Try it with the difficulty
Yeah.
up.
That'd be kind of cool.
All right,
Yeah, because I think one of them makes it so that you can basically one hit guys, and one of them makes it so that you can every time you hit something, you get some of your health back. So I probably could play it on higher difficulty.
Actually, God mode.
Yeah, it's basically that move.
all right. For the sake of time, I'm gonna wrap it up here and ask everybody, what did your final score of this game come out to be? So we'll go around, and I'll start with mine. I gave it a 6.5. I thought it was fun. I didn't hate it, but didn't love it. Kind of a little bit above average. I think the artwork helped and the shortness helped.
Kevin, we're not giving you 0.5. So you give it a 6 or you give it a 7.
No, I like
gotta make up your
6.5.
mind.
Yeah.
I think it's closer to a 6 and a 7, but I don't think it's. If I think of other games would be 6s, I think it's a little bit better than that. So
It's a
Steve,
13 out of 20.
yeah, there you go. Steve, what
Can I
about
go
you?
last? Can I go last?
Sure. Let's go to Fred then.
8.5, I think, either 8 or 8.5.
Wow.
I really like.
Wow. Okay.
Okay.
Beauties of monthly game club. You
I
find
know.
anything you like?
Chris, what about you? The speedrunner.
If someone thinks they'd like the game, if I'm looking at it from like a general audience type of view, I'd give it an 8. Personally, I give it a 6.
Okay.
1 point for each hour you played consecutively.
Yeah.
Little by little. Jeff, what about you?
I think I'm a little more favorable than you, Kevin. I'd probably say it wasn't great, wasn't terrible. You're like a 7.
Okay. Ryan?
I'm like right between a 6 and a 7. I think I would have to probably lean to 6.
Like a
6 out of
6.5?
10.
That sounds right.
No, you can't do that. You gotta
No, you
land
can't.
on a whole number.
I like the 6.5.
can't.
I'm a
Us-
I mean,
six.
literally no grading systems do that. All of them have 0.5s.
I love
Like,
it.
6 is like a game that I'm playing, but I'm not really enjoying. Whereas this game, I kind
6
of play
plus.
just to play.
That's
whereas an
that's
8
how I
is like
feel.
something I'm enjoying.
Because 6 to me, I feel like it's like,
Yeah.
I don't like it, but I didn't not like it. I just had issues with it. But overall, I enjoyed it. Just wasn't a great game.
Yeah.
Steve?
All right.
Give it like a letter grade. that can
Kevin,
stand.
before I give my number, what number do you think I'm going to give it?
6.5.
7.23.
I would say you give it a 7.
I think 7 too.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah.
I think I
Sounds
talked
right.
more harshly about the game than I actually did. Okay,
You
if it's
did,
$20,
definitely.
I'll give it a 7. If it's $40,
Yeah.
like a 6.
Yeah.
Like this is, I cannot spend.
I think
$40
we would have
on
had a
this.
completely different discussion if we paid $40 for this game.
If it was
True.
40, I'd
I would have
I
felt the
have-
same. I think.
I think,
Five.
yeah,
For that alone, I have to stick with the 6 instead of the 7.
that's pretty rough.
Yeah.
It's currently listed at $40.
That's insane. That is
That's-
just
I'll say
nuts.
7 if it's $20, but I am the kind of person that actually really likes these like games. I like movement-based games. I like platforming games. So this is my type of game. I think most people probably wouldn't enjoy it as much as I did.
I think the hardest part isn't if this game was one of the only few games you could get, I think it would stand out more, but there's so many good games to play at much cheaper prices that it's hard to really recommend this to a friend when there's so many better options. I mean, we listed like 6 or 7 different games comparing it to it. It's like, well, why not just play those other games? Because most of them are cheaper than this one in the first place. But I don't know. Depends what you're looking for. If you want something, this is like a snack versus like a whole meal. I think we
There's
can
not
kinda-
a lot of games like this.
I mean, we
it's not
listed
just a
Shadow of
shooter.
Colossus. Like, there's several of
Like-
those.
But that's not a movement-based game in the same
Yeah.
way.
Right.
Well, then go
I
play
mean,
a movement game. I mean, you could go
Gravity
play.
Rush.
Yeah, there you
People
go.
like this game. They should definitely play Gravity Rush.
And Gravity
But
Rush
there's not
is
a
very
ton of
good.
those.
There's 2 of them,
There's
I
not
think.
there's not a ton of these games. Like it's not like this is a first-person shooter or like a 2D platformer. I mean, to me, this is somewhat unique.
That's fair. All right, so we'll wrap up with Solar Ash, and then this was our July game, I think, right? And then our August game
Yeah.
is Fred. You are the picker of the August game, so do you want to announce what we're playing for that?
Sure. Yeah, we're playing Viewfinder, and if you like, Portal type games, I think you will really like this.
Nice. It does look pretty cool. I haven't
Yeah,
started
it's
it yet,
really cool.
but it looks pretty fun.
Yeah, I've played 3 hours.
Definitely.
Cool. And then the next month up will be nope, sorry, Jeff, you just went Lana. It will be Chris will be next. So Chris, think about what game you want to pick for your month for September. And then I believe we start back at the top for me, and then we'll go through it again.
All right.
Sounds
Sounds good.
good. All right. Well, thank you all for joining us for another wonderful Game Club discussion on Solar Ash. I will see you guys another month to talk about Viewfinder.
Can't wait.
Sounds
All right,
good. Talk to you guys later.